All right, so now we're going to talk about that first half of design thinking, which is empathy and define. What do we mean by this? Empathy is getting to know your customer, right? At First User Group, we study people to do this, which is how the best design thinkers do it, I believe. And we're looking for human data. We do this through observation and conversation. And what we're looking for in particular are behaviors and emotions. So when we can solve a behavioral problem and then assign an emotion to that behavior, that's the real gold in designing a product. Define is to find these patterns, right? So we're defining patterns which will then lead us to those exact problems that people have. We talked briefly about how every design in the history of man has been to solve a human problem. So that's what we're doing, is we're solving a human problem. We're going to the humans, finding what their problem is, and then we're informing design on the second half of design thinking. You can do this with anything. Like I said, we've done it with everything from toasters to websites and have been successful with that, but you could do it with anything. Let's take this Sharpie pen, for example. I keep the cap on my Sharpie, and other people might hold the cap in their left hand. Other people might throw the cap off to the side. What are the percentages of that? That's what I mean by human data and observing people. So let's say with the Sharpie cap, it's 62% put the cap on top of the pen, 12%, keep the cap nearby, and a very small percentage throws the cap somewhere else, they're not worried about it. But since this is such a large number here, which is 62 and 12 is 74, that's 74% of users keep the cap nearby. So what are we going to do with that number? We're going to say, well, there's a pattern in behavior. Now let's go ask them what's their emotional reason for that. What they'll likely tell us is that we don't want the Sharpie to dry out. I mean, these things are expensive, right? And so we don't want the Sharpie to dry out, so we're always careful about keeping that cap nearby. Now we have both a behavior and an emotion to take to that next section of design thinking. So stay tuned. We'll talk about that next.